Hi everyone, Norah Colvin here. Today I'm going to read for you my story, Silverlocks and the Three Bears, from the anthology Once Upon a Whoops. I hope you enjoy it. This is the story about Silverlocks. I'm sure you've heard about Goldilocks. Well, that's what they called her when she was a child and had golden curls. When she got old, like really old and had silver hair, they called her Silverlocks. You'll remember that Goldilocks went into the bear's house when they weren't at home. And yeah, she did some pretty bad things. Well, she did her time and learned her lesson. And although everyone kept reminding her of what she did wrong, she never did it again. That is, until one day when she went on holidays. Let me tell you what happened. Silverlocks pulled up outside the small cottage. She squinted at all the numbers on the letterbox, trying to compare the cottage with a blurry image on her brochure. She fumbled in her bag for her reading glasses, but they weren't there. Oh no, she said, I must have left my glasses at home. Just as well I brought some audio books because I won't be able to read, and I do so love my books. Silverlocks looked down the street. She couldn't see any other cottages. This must be it, she said. She grabbed her bag off the back seat of the snazzy red sedan and walked up the path. The gate squeaked as she opened it, and it almost fell off its hinges. That's not good, said Silverlocks. Holiday houses shouldn't need mending. I must remember to tell the agent. She stopped on the path to look at the cottage. A bit smaller than I expected, she thought. You just can't trust the photographs used by online booking agents. Oh well, I'm sure it will be big enough for little old me. When Silverlocks got to the front door, she was surprised to find it unlocked. They must have known I was on my way, she said. She put the key back in her bag and went inside. On the table were 3 bowls of breakfast cereal. That's nice, said Silverlocks. I didn't expect the owners to have breakfast ready for me. She scratched her head. I wonder why they left 3 bowls. Maybe they weren't sure what I'd like. Silverlocks sat at the table. First, she tried the cereal in the big bowl, but it was too crunchy. She could hardly chew it. Next, she tried the cereal in the medium bowl. It was too soggy and far too sweet. Yuck, she said. Too much milk and way too much sugar. When she tried the cereal in the smallest bowl, she was surprised. Perfectly delicious, she said, and ate it all up. It's a good thing I wasn't more hungry, said Silverlocks, or I'd be telling the agent there wasn't enough cereal for me. After breakfast, Silverlocks was keen to get started on the latest audiobook she had downloaded. She looked around for somewhere to sit and saw that there were 3 chairs. She tried the biggest chair first, but she had to stretch up into it, and it was too hard. The fabric prickled her skin, and her feet couldn't reach the floor. This won't do, she said. Next, she sat in the middle-sized chair. This time, her feet could reach the floor, but it was too soft, and no matter how much she wriggled and jiggled, she just couldn't get comfy. That left the little chair. I don't think I'd fit this big old bottom into you, she said. But since there was no other chair, she tried anyway. Crash! The chair smashed into 1,000,000 pieces, and Silverlocks landed on her, well, you know where, on the floor. Whoops, said Silverlocks as she swept up the pieces and hid them in the broom cupboard. I don't think I'll be telling the agent about that. Silverlocks yawned. It had been a long drive, and she could hardly keep her eyes open. "Time for a nap," she said. Upstairs, there were 3 beds. They were crumpled and rumpled and looked like someone had just got out of them. Silverlocks made a note to tell the agent that they really must make the beds, change the sheets even, before new guests arrive. She didn't like the black and white stripes on the first bed, nor did she like the racing car design on the little bed. But she thought the purple and pink flowers on the bed in between were perfect. She lay down on it. It was soft and warm. Before long, she was fast asleep, snoring and dreaming. It was a dream she'd had many times, over and over, since that day that she, well, you know. Anyway, she was sound asleep when something, maybe a noise, maybe something in her dream, startled her awake. She rubbed her eyes. Was she still dreaming? 3 big bears were looking down at her. Well, one was big, one was really big, and one was a bit smaller. But they all seemed enormous to Silverlocks. Silverlocks screamed, "What are you doing in my house?" The bear screamed, "What are you doing in our house?" "This is my holiday house," said Silverlocks. "This is our home," said the 3 bears. "But I booked it for a holiday," said Silverlocks, waving the brochure about. The bears looked at the brochure. "That's not our house," said Mother Bear. "Our house doesn't have a brick fence like that. We have a hedge. You must have seen it when you came in." "I didn't, but I did see that your gate is falling off its hinges," said Silverlocks, stuffing her belongings back into her bag. "You'll get around to fixing it one day," said Mother Bear. "These things take time." "Our house has a thatched roof, not a tiled roof like the one in your brochure," said Father Bear. I didn't notice," said Silverlocks. "And our house has a swing in the front yard," said Baby Bear. "You must have seen it when you came in. The one in your brochure doesn't have a swing." "I'm so sorry," said Silverlocks. "I left my glasses at home." "Well, what are those things on your head?" asked Baby Bear. Silverlocks touched her head. There were her glasses, right on the top of her head. "Whoops," said Silverlocks. "Can you tell me where I should be?" Mother Bear looked at the address on the brochure. "That cottage is just down the road. You must have driven right past it." "It doesn't look much like that, though," said Father Bear. "You can't trust these brochures, you know. It's much smaller than it looks in the photograph, and the garden is all grown over now." "Maybe Baby Bear could show you where the cottage is," said Mother Bear. "But first, I want to know where my chair is," said Baby Bear. Silverlocks gulped. She grabbed her bag, rushed out the door, ran down the path and into her car. She slammed her foot on the accelerator and sped away from the bear's cottage, down the road, past the holiday house, heading for home. She was almost home when she heard the wail of a police siren and saw the lights flashing. They told her to pull over and stop. Her palms were sweaty and her heart was racing. Suddenly, it all felt familiar. She couldn't believe it had happened again. "I'm sorry, officer," she said. "I didn't mean to break and enter. It was an honest mistake. I didn't have my glasses and—" "What break and enter?" said the officer. "You just went through that red light, and your glasses are on the top of your head." "Whoops," said Silverlocks. As the officer was writing out the ticket, a message came through on his 2-way radio. "Break and enter at the Bear's cottage. Suspect escaped in a red sedan. Elderly female, silver hair. Approach with caution." You're under arrest, said the police officer. Here we go again, said Silverlocks, putting out her hands to be cuffed. I hope you enjoyed that story. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.